Hello and good afternoon. My name's Tony. I'd like to show you a few things about a bike. One of which, today we have to change this tire because it's flat, of course. You know, you always go around, gotta run through the grass and do all that. Well, what always ends up happening is you get these lovely thorns. It's always a good idea to look for what caused your tire to lose its inflation first. And you got down here in Florida, you have these serious thorns. They're always a pain in the neck. So, easy thing to do for changing the tire. First, you're going to want a wrench to loosen the bolts. This is a 15 millimeter wrench for this bike here. Some bikes are going to be different. It is fairly standard though on most bikes that it's a 15 millimeter. So what you're going to want to do is loosen the bolts, which will allow you to slide. Now you're going to want to let the chain go slack. That way it's not pulling on you. And what I like to do, because I hate messing with these things here, a pain in the butt, you don't have to. First thing you're going to want to do is take a screwdriver, get right up in between the tire and the rim, just like that. Now, what I like to use is a box wrench, and you get that up in there. Once you get that in there, I like to use a box wrench so it doesn't rip the tire. But you can just slide that along. And as you're sliding, now you can move this out. And you just work along the tire till the tire pops free on the one side. It's much easier on the front tire. But then what you're going to want to do, pull that tube out of there. Get it out up to the Schrader valve. Once you get to the Schrader valve, just push that through. Now you have the tube separated from the tire. Now, with it still on the bike, you can just lift it out a little bit, slide your tube out. Now your tube's free. So you could always blow it up, find the hole, repair it with a patch kit, but today we just got a new tube. This is a 26-inch bike. There's markings on the side of every bicycle tire, like right here. It'll say 26 by 195. 195 is the width of the tire. So this one does a range of widths. It's a 26-inch tube, but it does a couple different widths. So, now what I also like to do before I put the new tire in is take a couple fingers, rub it along the inside of the tire. What you're looking for, anything that's going to pop your new tire or your new tube. Sometimes you can't find that pesky little thorn that I found earlier, and there's just this tiny little thorn in there that'll pop your new tire. We've gotten our old tube out. Now we got a new tube ready to go in. First thing I like to do is squirt this stem in there. Get that stem in there. Once you get that stem in there, you can work it around the bolt. Once around the bolt, set it back in place. Now that it's back in place, what you want to do is you want to make sure as you're working the tube in there, it doesn't twist on you. Work from the stem back and just start getting it up in there and try and get it right up in that lip of the rim. Now, just keep working it in and making sure it don't twist along the way. What happens when it twists, it'll bind, and when you go to inflate the tire, you'll get a big old bubble. And eventually, if you ride on that bubble, the bubble will explode. It's not fun, very scary. You're going down a hill, trust me. So, working all the way around. We're doing this with the tire in place, so kind of got to work around the brakes here. Get it up in that lip. Now the tube's all up in there. You want to start working the tire in. So all you gotta do is lift up, and with your thumb, just start pressing it in. Start working all the way around. Once you get near the end, it starts to become difficult. But that's when you use two hands. You just push it in. It'll eventually pop in place. Make sure your valve stem sitting straight. And then that's pretty much it for changing the tire. Just tighten up the bolts, pop the chain back on, which is fairly simple. On this side of the bike. Now, when you go to so the chain wound up a little bit, you just have to work it back. Now that the chain's freed up, you're going to want to make sure that your bolt slides in, and that's how you get the tension on the chain. Push it all the way back, tighten up the bolt a little bit by hand so it'll sit there. Now, on these multi-speed bikes, you're going to want your chain to correspond, your main chain to correspond with your smaller chain back here. Make sure that, see, this one's on the front one, you put this one on the front one as well. Now that we got that, you want to spin the tire a little bit. Make sure that it is spinning straight. That looks pretty straight there. Tighten it up a little bit. Grab your 15mm wrench and tighten her down. Same to the other side. Spin it again. What you're looking for is make sure that there's no rubbing along the brakes and it spins freely. Then you could always pedal it. Make sure that the chain's not going to fall off. Make sure it spins freely. Now, another little trick I like, especially when you're in a bind, and sometimes these chains, they'll bind up, rust up, and your bearings in there. Because all these rims have bearings inside of them. You can always take them apart, pull the bearings out, grease them. But what I like to do, especially when you don't have a lot of time and you just want to get on the bike, cooking butter. Perfect lubricant. Greases it up, works great. You just gotta get it all up in there. Get around where the bearings are gonna be and just let it run. And it'll grease everything up, make for a nice smooth ride. You can always do around here. I mean, if you have a lubricant in your shed, that's always better, but in a pinch, good old cooking butter always works. So, that's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching. Leave any comments. If you've seen anything that I did wrong or that you would like to comment on, comment section will be below. So, thank you. Have a good day.